counting
The cost of being a mentor facilitator.
Hey Larry, so what do you do as a mentor facilitator?
Basically, it's said in those two words. I'm a mentor and I facilitate at a high school program in Michigan. It's at a Adventist church, but it's a new program. It's kind of on the frontier of hybrid learning, and yeah, I basically facilitate that program, which basically covers a lot. I manage the program there by myself and tutor and teach and manage the classroom dynamics and things like that as well. And I also do. I'm also the Bible teacher there.
Oh, awesome. When you're growing up, have you ever been uh blessed by somebody like
Absolutely.
you that was doing mentoring and facilitating?
Yeah, actually, I just gave my testimony on another channel with my friend, and as I was kind of developing the story in my mind and processing it, I realized there's like actually a multitude of people that mentored me. Maybe not an official title as mentor or disciple maker, but actually invested in my spiritual and my social life. And I really appreciate those type of people that really invested. I really grew up in a community that invested in kids, and so yeah. To answer your question, yeah, not just one, but several people.
Oh, that's awesome. I felt also very lost when I was a teenager. A whole bunch of voices were saying whole different things that were very contradicting. So I didn't
Mm.
know who to listen to. So in what practical way did those people impact you when you were going through that formative years?
In my formative years, I would say definitely in the time that they spent teaching us different things. I was part of a church that invested in kids through like their Pathfinder program, and also through like just events. They did a lot of like theatrical events, like kind of events that you would do like plays and stuff like that. And we used to. I remember very vividly the different plays that the adults would have us come in like during the week and practice some of performing these plays and memorizing these lyrics and stuff. And yeah, the people that invested in me like really took time to put on events and teach me different sports and games and all sorts of stuff. Like actually, a lot of people think I know a lot about a lot of things. I know a lot of sports. I play like a lot of things, and then really, I just have to say, it's because I had good mentors and I had good people, adults that taught us how to play baseball and badminton and ping pong and tennis and all these things, and so I can play all these sports because like these adults really invested in us. So it was really nice.
So the reason why you're well-rounded is not because you're super just talented without anybody's help, but it was because of those people that really invested in you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I take for granted sometimes the fact that I know all these things, these like sports, but people always like, man, like how come you know how to play basketball and how come you know how to play football and tennis? And I'm like, I just grew up that way. Like I grew up with adults that played with us when we were kids.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
We may expect teenagers may have their parents, their uncles and aunts. So what do you think
Mhm.
those non-family member mentor figures what do you think those people can do to help young people in a special way that a family member may not be able to do as well?
Um, I think not that they're like a substitute for their parents, but I think a lot of kids need more added support in regards to um kind of like leveraging and supporting what the parents already believe. Like, so that if the parents like care about their children's education, then they need to find other mentors that care about education just as much as they do. And so if you have if you have like a lot of people not outside of your own parents that care about education, then the whole culture becomes like, oh man, like everybody cares about education, or everybody likes playing sports, or everybody like does that. And so like in your mind as a child, you're just like, it's something that you value. And I think that's what's actually missing in a lot of our culture, is that these shared values that even like not just your parents, but even other adults and friends of your parents like have. And I think it's missing because a lot of parents don't have that kind of support anymore.
Oh, I see.
you know
Actually, one thing that is really surprising, based on my observation on what happens in America, is
hmm hmm
there are a lot of gun shooting in schools.
yeah, yeah.
So what do you think students, teenagers, children need the most when they were growing up as an educator? From your first exposure, uh, I mean, from your exposure to education, uh, schools, in person.
So you're asking what is the most important thing like a kid
Yeah,
needs
yeah,
when they're younger?
yeah,
That's a broad question, and there's probably a lot of good answers to that. But
yeah.
I think that kind of question, it comes down to several things. Like obviously, you need a good upbringing with your parents, but I think secondly, I think the broader community, kind of like what I just mentioned earlier, the broader community that you grow up in, the culture that you live in, um, needs to have these like shared values. Like you said, in America, it's becoming so individualistic. It's becoming very, very much like you live in your own house and you don't even get to know your neighbors. Unfortunately, like in the house that I live in, I'm not very close to my neighbors whatsoever. I say hi to them every now and then, but like because of that disassociation with your neighbors, like you don't have that sort of culture of like feeling like you're part of a community. And so I think your parents' upbringing is obviously, I think, the number one. And making sure that you raise up your child in the way that he should go. But I think secondarily, I think you also need a community, whether it's the church or whether it's like your parents' groups of friends that come together. Like the kids need to sense unity. They need to sense community in their life. So I think those are two things. And yeah,
Wow. So, do you remember your upbringing? Do you remember your family background when you were growing up as a kid, how it impacted you? I think for me,
absolutely.
um, my mom was very committed. She worked for the government. She quit. She said, "Oh, I can't let this nanny that is constantly stealing food from our pot take care of my son. I'm gonna
hmm
quit my
hmm
job and I'm gonna take care of my son." And then just sometimes regrets. Oh, why did I quit? I gave up so much money, blah blah blah. But she's like, oh, but you guys turned out great, so it was good
Right.
that I quit. So how was
hmm
your experience?
like just in general,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
how it was,
yeah. Your
like it.
upbringing. Yeah.
I always tell people like my upbringing seemed mostly delightful. Like it was mostly like
Wow, that's wonderful.
like a loving environment. Like but there is definitely a lot of like chaotic moments in my childhood, and a lot of maybe a lot of argumentation from my parents and stuff. Being that they came from immigrant families. They're the first ones to come to America in the mid 70s, which was very rare, especially for people from where my parents were from in Indonesia. And so um, when they came here, they were very poor, although they were kind of a little bit well off in Indonesia. But when they came here, they were very poor. And so there was a lot of struggles in finances and education and work and whatnot. So I just remember growing up in a very poor place where we had mice and cockroaches and a lot of you know we lived off a lot of welfare programs that the government had, and so yeah, we definitely didn't live with the silver spoon, as they say. But I think what really made my childhood delightful is that, like I said earlier, and I keep mentioning it, like I just we were surrounded by a really good community of faith, and that people that and adults that actually, once we came to America, invested in us. Like they took us out of the slums, or out of the out of the house of cockroaches and mice, and they brought us to like middle class homes where
Wow.
we saw like, oh wow, there's better life out there. For sure.
Wow, that's awesome. So, do you remember the key core values that your parents or your community modeled, that you still remember and that you still carry with you wherever you go?
Core values. I think that there's a lot of core values that I can kind of just say off the top of my head. Like you know, I think one of the core values obviously is hard work. Work ethic is always a big one. Making sure that you work hard and that you be a valuable member to society. Um, the other, I think the other installations, or the other sort of values and beliefs that were instilled in me and inculcated in my life, were just like being of service, like being somebody who like will serve other people, and that was mainly seen in the life of Jesus, and the teaching of Jesus in our family. Teaching how Jesus sacrificed himself and served the greater good. And so just really going and learning about that, my parents teaching that, my community of faith at church, always taught us that, and they replicated that in feeding the homeless. Like we would always go feed the homeless, every Saturday, and things like that. And so yeah, just instilling service and kindness and sharing of resources with the community was a value that we had.
Wow, that's fantastic. Oh, yeah, I think one thing that really blows me away,
Hmm.
when I encounter faith community, is that they're so
Hmm.
giving, uh,
Yes.
which I
Amen.
haven't witnessed in my family setting. My mom is a very sacrificial woman, but she
Hmm.
sacrifices for her family, not for anybody else. So
Oh.
when I say when I say share this with somebody, or when she gives me something, if I share that, whatever food she makes with somebody else, she gets angry. She says, "I made it for you, not for anybody else." So
Oh.
so so I so my mom, I think that's the way she grew up in a on a survival mode. She had to
Right.
maintain it because she grew up uh
Yeah.
in the midst of poverty. So I think
Right.
that's what's really powerful about faith community. We see
Hmm.
beyond our own inner circles. I mean,
That's right.
think about it. Like homeless people, they have nothing to do with us. They're
Yeah.
strangers,
There's total strangers.
but when we take care of them, we feel great. Our mental well-being and emotional social well-being are also benefited.
That's
So,
right.
so I think
That's
it's
right.
a very mysterious, kind of strange welfare system in a way
Yeah. 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 That's absolutely right.
that really
You know,
nourishes our well-being.
that's so true. And it really just goes to the fact that we're all human beings, and that we're all related, in some way, and that people are all suffering in this world, and everybody needs help, and that's why, to be a person of service is such a beautiful thing. If you're out there in this world and you're serving not just your own needs and your own family, but others around you, like, I really think that those people are very beautiful.
That's very true. Because I mean, think about well-off people. How did they make money? Somebody gave them money because they created service. They created values.
Yeah.
They were able to sell something. They were able to offer something, and somebody bought it. Somebody
Mm,
became their consumer. So if you say, "Oh, I'm completely disengaged from them," that's just a very skewed sense of reality. So I think when we
yeah.
are connected as a family, as if we can perceive someone that is related to me, it is
Hmm.
not just spiritual thing, but it's also it totally reflects reality very accurately.
Right. Right. I
So
agree.
let's go back to your job aspect. So how did you move from being a kid that grew up in that kind of very good community, and then what led you to that point where you were starting to serve students in school as a mentor and facilitator?
So I have to backtrack and really get to how my father, especially, not my mother so much, but my father was very much a disciplinarian, and he really wanted us to be doctors. I don't know if there's probably a lot of Asians that can relate to that, where, where parents like really like push them to be, something. And in his mind, I don't know where it came from. I don't know, maybe something he watched or cultural, but in his mind, to be a doctor in America was like the cream of the crop. Like the very best that you can be. And so he very much pushed us in that direction. And so, thinking of people's health and being in the healthcare field was always in my mind all the time, because my dad was in the healthcare field, and I have two other older siblings that are doctors. I have my older brother, he's a doctor, and my older sister's a doctor. And then my younger brother is a nurse, and my younger sister is a health supervisor.
Wow.
My whole family was raised to be in the medical field, and I'm kind of, I like to say I'm the white sheep. I don't, you know how they always say there's a black sheep, somebody in the family like that considered like bad, but I consider myself the white sheep that actually kind of chose like to be like a teacher and a pastor at the same time. So, um, but yeah, but it took a long time before I actually was able to break out of that mold that my father wanted me to be in, and that's a long story in itself. But I basically at one point in my life, and it was actually during the same time you were here in Michigan. I really like cried out to the Lord at one point, especially in my journey, and I came to a fork in the road, as it were. And I had broken up in an engagement with a lady, and I had failed in medical school and it hadn't finished, and there was just a lot of things that were reaching like a climax, and I needed to make a decision. I think it was back in like 2012, around that time you were here too. And at that time, I don't know if you know it, but like your group, like campus, and a lot of individuals that were, um you know just really spiritual, like, and really kind of, um good role models for me, came around me and just, was telling me, hey, you need to really follow, God, and follow your principles and things like that, and really lean into God's word and things like that. And I got the courage to finally like face up my dad and say, you know what, I don't want to do the healthcare field anymore. Yeah, I know. Um, and there's more to the story, but eventually I got the courage just to say, hey, like I want to follow the Lord's leading, and I want to like escape the whole healthcare field and go into teaching and going to the things where I think the Lord will help me be more fulfilled.
Oh, so so that's 2012, and then right now it's 2022. So what happened for 10 years? How was your experience?
In 10 years, like I actually joined the campus ministerial program. So campus, after you left, they started a ministerial program where if you wanted to like if you were thinking about going into the ministry, like pastoral ministry and whatnot, you can go into this year-long program just like campus, um, and just kind of serve in the at the college campus level. And that's what I did. I served at Michigan State and also at U of M and in Ann Arbor and Lansing, and did some canvassing. That's where I met Lily again, your wife, during that time in 2014, 2015. She was one of the leaders with Camille there, or helping him. And then I was I was given like two churches to be an assistant pastor at, and then I went to Australia and around Asia to do mission work after that. And
Oh,
I spent a whole year just doing mission work in public campus ministry in 2017. And then when I came back from that, back to the U.S., I just prayed, Lord, where do you want where do you want me to go next? And literally within like a week, two of my friends told me, hey, we have two positions. Well, they're both separate cases. Like one friend was like, I'm starting up a new school and I want you to be the teacher. And I was like, wow. And then the next day, my other friend that doesn't know my other friend that wanted me this position, he's like, hey, on the weekends, what are you doing? I was like, well, I mean, I'm gonna be teaching, but I have the weekends free. He's like, hey, do you want to be an assistant pastor, or like, do you want to be the English ministry and youth pastor at the Detroit Korean Church? I was like, wow, like the Lord like blessed like right when I
oh,
got back from mission trip.
wow. So
And
you
that's how I got those
so
positions.
your work schedule on weekdays and your weekend schedule got figured
Yeah, it's exactly like the Lord
out.
filled those days up. I don't know if that's fortunately or unfortunately. I don't know.
Wow.
Because I basically feel like I work 7 days a week though, but it's
I
but
think
it's
it's kind of
good.
interesting when you work uh um I mean on the weekend for faith community. You're pretty much ministering to other people, but in a strictest sense you're working. But
Yeah, that's right.
you don't feel like you're being abused.
Yeah, that's right. That's true. That's true. It's almost voluntarily being abused.
Yeah. I think we need I don't know. I think we need to be ministered to as we
Yeah,
minister.
that's true.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I take that back. Yeah, for sure. Like I think the Lord put me in these positions really not for other people's sake, but for my sake. Like I really have grown so much by these leadership positions.
Yeah, going through board meetings, going through a whole bunch of things that don't make sense all the time, kind of like stress me out and kind of make me angry sometimes, but I think that's the way we grow when I
Absolutely.
look back. Because even when I was at campus, I felt like that program was so amazing because from my experience, it was campus abandonment program. Like there was no supervision whatsoever.
Yeah, that's true.
They threw us out there.
Yep, yep.
They give us super short classes, and they say, hey guys, go
Go
up,
use it.
go to the neighborhood, go to schools and meet people and and do what you gotta do. And then zero supervision. At the end of the year, okay,
Yeah.
we're gonna evaluate. So
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
was pretty much very real and raw in a sense. So it was a very good training at the same time, even though
That's right. That's
I
right.
felt like I was just thrown into the jungle with nobody to oversee. But I think it was the best training, I guess, in a sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're able to kind of be the master of your own destiny at that point.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Even when I was getting this business started, I had to like distribute flyers and like advertise everywhere. I didn't know what I was
Hmm.
doing, but I became a little bit more stable at this point. So
Uh-huh.
I think also canvassing really helped me to be that person
Bold. Yeah.
that can really meet people's needs,
Amen.
instead of just doing whatever I want. Because people
That's
are
awesome.
hungry for authentic love, authentic sense of appreciation, and
Appreciation, belonging. Yep.
yeah, belonging. And then people need that, that real connection with teachers they can really look up to. So
Hmm.
yeah, it's pretty much making me happy serving
Hmm.
my students
Yeah.
every day. So, do you remember the moments when you felt rewarded for what you were doing?
Uh, that I felt rewarded. Yeah, I think when I see my students graduate, and they come up to me and say, "Man, I'm gonna miss spending time in your classroom." You know, and I some of them even say like, your worship talks, are there's still like truths that I still remember, that you said in your worship talks and things like that. And so, yeah, like I think it's fulfilling, and just kind of seeing these kids like grow up to become more and more like in the likeness and similitude of Jesus, and kind of seeing like their demeanor change from like not really thinking like anything means anything to really taking life very meaningfully.
Mm, wow,
So it's very fulfilling.
that's awesome. So, what did you do in Australia?
I worked at Monash. It's in Melbourne. I worked in public campus ministry there, and then I went to Malaysia and worked as a massage therapist over at Anan. I don't know if you know where that is.
Oh, I've been there.
Oh, you've been to Anan?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
for like 5 hours.
Beautiful place. I was there for about 3 months there, and then did mission trips in Thailand and Indonesia and Philippines and stuff like that.
Wow,
It
that's
was really
awesome.
good.
That's awesome. Recently, two sisters visited from Indonesia. One is doctor, one is a bank
Okay.
person. I forgot their names.
Okay.
We hung out with them. So
Okay.
um, your exposure to university students, um, how did it impact the way you live your life? Because when I was a university student, students
Mhm.
are away from homes and they are trying to fit
Yeah.
in and they're trying to make friends. They're trying to find their boyfriends and girlfriends and
Right.
thinking about marriage and thinking about their jobs. So, what do you think university students need, um, from a community or from their peers? What have you observed?
I think you mentioned it. I think they need a sense of belonging and community, like a sense of purpose for their lives. A lot of college students are really searching for direction. Even if they had like somewhat of a good upbringing, like they're still looking for direction in life. Like what is my peer group kind of involved in? And some people are searching for adventure. Some people are searching just to feel the loneliness in their mind. And so, yeah, I think it's not. I think it goes beyond just college students. It's like really that formative period in those years, like early 20s, late teens, and even until your 30s. Really, like people are really searching for answers to life. You know, they're looking for truth. They're looking for relationship, and so yeah, I think that's what college students are looking for.
You know, you know how many I don't even know how much money I wasted on girls that I liked. I bought gifts, chocolates, candies, a whole
Mhm.
bunch of things. I like you, I love you, a whole like, and then that I was pursuing somebody,
Yeah,
but and also like watching dramas and movies and fantasizing over actresses. Wow, she's so hot and all these things, and I felt like I wasted just so much of my time when I was a teenager, growing up, writing the names
yeah.
of the girls that I like. Oh, she's so awesome, so beautiful. Oh, she doesn't like me, so heartbroken, and watching like movies and oh yeah, I'm just like life should be more than just fantasizing over somebody that's not even real or like the relationship that don't even work out. So I feel
You're,
like
you're, you're, you're you're so Asian, dude.
I feel like I feel like
It's
I
like
feel
a
like
Korean drama.
our youth can be so consumed with bunch of nothing.
Yeah, that's true. It's
And
so true,
sometimes
though.
it makes me angry. Why did I even waste that much time and energy and hours for the girls that are not going to be my wife at all?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think people spend a lot of time going for things that they perceive is going to give them a lot of hope and love and whatnot, and they realize it really comes back to like what God said is like trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not to your own understanding, but in all thy ways acknowledge him and he will direct your path. It's just like we choose our own path and then it just leads to a lot of chaos, you know. If we just kind of like follow one direction and we follow, God's will in our lives, like he'll provide. It says like seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and then all these things shall be added unto you. It's just like, if we focused on that, like all the things that we want in life will just come naturally. But we tend to want to do it on our own accord,
Yeah, I didn't realize life wasn't just about me. I think our life can be more meaningful if we can actually build up other people's lives instead of just trying to indulge in my own perverted,
Absolutely.
selfish desires.
Wow, that's so true.
Yeah, it's
And
not it's not
it's
it's
very
not in me.
authentic.
Like all these answers are outside of myself. That's what I
Yeah,
realized.
yeah, it's so true. It's so true. I think we spend so much time on our, like you said, on our own desires and our own flesh that we don't realize that, you know, that that there's much more outside of us, like through the spirit and things like that.
Wow, that's awesome. So, how was your experience of serving a congregation on the weekends
On the
when,
weekend.
when you're supposed to play?
I know, right? I'm supposed to have a break, right? It's a Sabbath and rest. Um, no, I actually I really like I said before, having this position as well has taught me a lot about sacrifice, and God has really just brought another community of faith in my life that I really needed. Like the people at the Korean church there, and the English ministry that's starting to grow more and more. Is like we spend like the whole Saturday together. Like, and I don't remember doing that in my college years that much. I remember when I was young, like I said, in my younger years, like we used to spend all day together. But there was a part of my spiritual life where I think maybe 10 or 15 years where on Saturdays, you go to church and you just come right back home, and I started to think that was just normal and that was the way our culture was, but but then when I went to this Korean church, it kind of reminded me of like what my childhood was like, having a really strong community, and so it's nice to see them and to serve them. We do Bible studies. We've been going to the nursing home and singing to the elderly people, and bringing smiles to their faces, and singing songs. It's just a beautiful experience. And one of the members, coincidentally, wrote on our cacao chat, how much she really enjoys seeing us. Like she just expressed, like, I'm not just going to church, but I'm actually going to see my friends. I was like, wow, that's an awesome statement.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I planted a church recently with my friends, and I'm starting to notice that it's very important to create a community because I've been trying to train young people to be able to preach, but I think we
Mm-hmm.
should go beyond just trying to train them to preach because I feel like I've been
Pushing
um
them too much.
yeah, I've been kind of like a yeah, kind of like a taskmaster, not not a
Not
community
a friend.
builder, not a friend. Yeah. So I think I need to um do try something different.
Yeah, like I think we have these preconceived ideas and expectations that we think that we need to live by. And really, if you look at like Jesus's life, he was just a very people person. He just wanted to be with people and to share his love and good news. And so it's really, I've learned more as a leader that you don't have to force things to happen. You can actually just be friends with people, and then take some initiatives in different regards, obviously, but but for the most part, just develop relationships with people, and things will just continue to grow.
Wow, that sounds very crucial.
Yeah,
Um,
very crucial.
mm. So what does your day look like when you work for school?
So my program is a hybrid program. We're actually at the frontier of the academic space. Um, and what I mean by that is that we're really injecting the power of the internet and online learning. So a lot of the kids, they have a choice to come into the classroom, or if they want to just work from home. And so
Really?
yeah, it's really kind of interesting. A lot of them choose to come to the classroom because I'll be there. So my day is like, I still come in at like 8 o'clock in the morning, or I come at 7:30 actually, for teacher worship. But 8 o'clock to 3 o'clock is a normal day for me and for my students there. But it's more relaxed, I think, because I don't have to teach them. Like, they have to do is log into their computers, and then join their classes online, and I just have to troubleshoot and kind of tutor if they need help, in any area. And then I kind of put in Bible class and worship in that schedule somewhere in the day too. So
Oh, I
it's
see.
really good. So
Awesome.
yeah, and I get to counsel them and kind of coach them along the way and mentor them. And I think I really, I'm starting to enjoy that part, because if they see me again like a friend that they can talk to, and I can kind of help them in their journey in life too.
Yeah, I think you have that kind of vibe. You still have it. You had it when I met you, and you still I think you still have it. You're kind of like
What's that vibe? Everyone always tells me
you're
that.
kind
What is that?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like people want to talk to you. I think
Yeah.
you don't you don't look critical. You don't look like a Christian monster that wants to beat people down with the Bible. You 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 look you look relatable.
Oh, okay. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I think it's a gift. It's a gift. It's a supernatural gift.
Yeah, I didn't realize that about me, but people have said that before.
Yeah, some
I
people
don't
even
know.
can't talk to people, but they're so busy talking. They can't listen. They just want to talk.
Right, right. It's important to listen for sure. It's important. That's an important quality to develop.
Yeah. So, do you have any story of counseling a student anonymously that you can share, super ambiguously?
Super ambiguously. That's funny. No, I can't think of any like off the top of my head, but I can share that I've had students that have shared and actually have. There was a one big incident of depression in high schoolers, or in one of my high schoolers, and in general, a lot of kids are actually depressed. Like there's an all time high in America, at least, in depression and suicide and stuff like that. And there was this one day where this girl came into the class, and then she went back downstairs because our classroom is upstairs, and she went downstairs, and I thought she was going to the bathroom or something, but she ends up texting one of my other students that were that was upstairs with me in the classroom, and she said, tell my family I said goodbye, and tell all my friends that I love them. And then and then she basically, my friend that, or the friend that was upstairs, like screams and says, where is she? Where is this person? Where is this girl? And I was like, I don't know. I think she went downstairs to the bathroom. She's like, we need to go find her. We need to go find her. And everybody was frantic, like literally like running around the building and trying to find this individual. Went outside to the premises of the church and everywhere. And finally, um, somebody saw her like on the curb near the sidewalk by the street. And she comes back to the room, and we're all crying, and we're all just sad and like traumatized by what she was going to do. And apparently her plan was to like just like walk into the street and get hit by like a truck or something like that. And it was really a sad situation. And she tells this story at for her testimony at camp meeting and stuff like that with other kids. But but a lot of these kids are really going through a lot of depression, especially with COVID and what they had to go through during the COVID times. They were isolated, they didn't have any social interaction. People were getting angry at each other for different political views and things like that. And so, yeah, I just remember talking with a lot of my students and just having them express, their frustrations. We actually had a professional counselor come in and give talks about that. I think Mrs. Conway.
Oh,
Um, yeah,
the marriage
Pastor Conway's wife,
the marriage expert.
marriage expert. She's actually a professional grief counselor as well now.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so she came in, and we had like a week of talks about what we're experiencing mentally, things of that nature. Um, yeah, so I think not only the students needed, I needed that too. Like it was very traumatizing in that regard. So yeah, just speaking with the students on a daily basis and kind of hearing what they're thinking is has been really pivotal.
Wow, that's awesome. I think COVID really disrupted our normal way of living, and then
Hmm.
it's really challenging us to live. I mean, be more proactive instead of being told what
Right,
to do. We should
right.
come up with how we should live.
Hmm.
So I think
Right.
it's very eye opening to have to figure out what we should do when we are supposed to be stuck at home or not go anywhere.
Yeah, yeah. How is it like that? How is it in Korea?
I mean,
Is there a lot more depression happening because of COVID lately, or just what's going on over there with
I
COVID?
think it's pretty similar. People are on TV, people are watching YouTube all day, and they're told to do online like education.
Yeah,
Don't go
yeah, yeah,
anywhere, don't
exactly.
talk to anybody, don't look at each other, like like stay
Yeah,
away from
right.
each other.
It's so
Like
sad.
I felt like I was being hypnotized by this whole like social distancing, kind of like anti-social uh, narrative.
Yeah. Right,
But I
right.
also at the same time realized human connection is as life-giving as distancing ourselves from other people. So I think it can be
Absolutely.
too extreme. So I think it
Yeah.
should be balanced. That's what I realized. I was like, okay, if I literally listen to everybody what everybody is telling me to do, I'm gonna be depressed. So
Right.
I'm gonna be creative. So I think that's what I learned
Right.
during the time.
Yeah. My brother, that he's a doctor, and he says like he doesn't like the word social distancing. Yeah, he says like there's how can you tell people to stop being social? Like that's
Yeah,
part of our the fabric of being a human
yeah,
being.
yeah.
But I mean, he kind of advocated for physical distancing, maybe, but
Okay.
not social distancing. Like maybe you need to be physically distant because of the pandemic or whatever, but to be socially distant is a very bad thing. Like
Mm,
we shouldn't like we shouldn't sever our connections with people.
wow, that's a really good perspective.
Hmm.
Wow, it's really good to catch up with you in 12 years.
Yeah, man, it's been a while,
Yeah, no,
man.
11 years. Yeah,
Is it 11 years? Okay.
yeah,
When did you leave? You left in 2013.
11 I think.
Oh, you left in 2011.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, 11,
Oh man,
11 summer,
wow.
like
And
2013.
I still remember when you were here, man. Yeah.
Yeah, I was enjoying my freedom.
That now you don't feel free anymore, huh?
Not as much. At that time, nobody knew me, so I was
Now
like,
that you have a little
okay,
baby too. Yeah.
okay, I'm on my own.
Yeah. You were such a free spirit when you were here. I remember.
Yeah, I'm still trying to maintain, but it's not as easy. But
Yeah.
it's a battle.
I really enjoyed your presence here, man.
Yeah,
And
people
thanks
talk.
for befriending me when you were here.
Yeah, I also really appreciated the friendship, and I remember very vividly everything that we did together.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, it was awesome. Wow. Hopefully, I can catch up with you again sometime in the future.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. If I go visit, I wanted to go visit Korea soon.
Oh, really?
One of the members at the church is Albert Kim. You know Albert Kim at my church.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Albert.
He goes to
Yeah,
your church?
yeah. His parents go there, and he goes there too. And
Ah.
so I told him I want to go visit, Korea with him, and he said, "Yeah, well, one of these days,
Oh, that's awesome.
I'll go with him, and I'll go visit with you.
Oh, cool. I
I'll go
would
visit you. I mean, yeah."
look forward to seeing you guys someday
So
in the future.
yeah, if you guys do you ever come back to the states? Doesn't Lily have family here still?
Yeah, she has family in Hershey, Pennsylvania.
Oh, in Hershey. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
So whenever you're in town, come to Michigan.
sure. Thank you so much, Larry, for making time for this interview and then
Yeah, no
for the
worries, no
cordial
worries.
invitation.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was very refreshing to talk to you.
You too, Jayla.
Yeah.
Man,
Have
we'll, we'll,
have have a good night and then stay healthy and happy.
you too, man. God bless you guys.
You too. Bye bye.
See ya. Bye bye.
Yep.